Time to get started on the next project here at the workshop. And that one's going to be one I've actually been wanting to do for a really long time. That being the USS Excelsior. And in this case, the box art is showing the version I actually have wanted to build for so long, namely the NX 2000, as seen in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. This will be from the recent Round 2 reissue of the kit. And importantly, it comes with not only the markings for both the NX and NCC versions, but they retooled the saucer to allow to build either the NX or the NCC versions, as well as different shuttle bay inserts, retooled secondary hull, impulse deck has an insert that can go in to take the dual crystals seen in the NCC version or the single impulse deflection crystal seen in Star Trek III on the NX 2000. Like I said, the reason I've been waiting for so long to do this one is while the Exclesior herself was issued in the NCC 2000, I want to build the one we first saw. To aid me in that, I've also got the Aztec decals from Round 2, which will save a lot of Aztec painting. This one will not be a quick build because there will still be some painting involved. But all in all, I'm looking forward to getting started on it. As you can see, they've added some detail, like the phaser bumps there. This is the retooled lower saucer from the Enterprise B kit. And they retooled the upper saucer to give you the option of different bridge modules and the different impulse deck. Some of these parts are still dating back to the original Excelsior kit, like most of the clear sprue there. Here, you've got the deflector that came with the Excelsior originally, as well as your clear parts for the impulse engines. These are actually the impulse engines of the Enterprise B. That's the new navigational deflector, new impulse crystals. All in all, like I said, it won't be a quick build, but it should wind up a decent sized build. Stay tuned. Alright, as you can see, we have subassembly work on the Excelsior finished. I've left the nacelles on the sprue right now to make it easier to handle them when I go for decals. Got the neck assembled. Seams aren't too shabby. I think they'll look just fine. The nacelle strut support, the NX 2000 saucer with single deflection crystal, and NX bridge in place, although it looks like I may have gotten that bridge in there a little crooked. At this point, it's probably a little late. I may see about prying it up, but we'll play that by ear. And of course, the NX secondary hull. I have gone ahead and painted the interior in a medium gray. The reworked torpedo launcher, the NX version of the hangar, and of course the uninstalled neck mount. Now, so the deflector's in place. I was pleasantly surprised with how well this popped together. Next step here, I'll be honest, is going to be decals before I do any more assembly work, because I have a whole lot of decals to put on. All right, this stage I've gotten some detail painting done. Got the impulse crystal and the area around it, bridge dome. Impulse engines are hand painted in red. The trim has been given a coat on the nacelle struts, has been given a coat of gunmetal, as has the neck. Looks like I need to go in and touch up some of that. Oh, there it is. Excuse me. I also got the aft photon tubes as well as the interior of the cargo bay and the navigational deflector itself. At this point, it's time to start the wonderful task of wallpaper decal. All right. After roughly 3.5 months, last time I did any work on this was back in February, I finally have the beginnings of aztecing on the Excelsior build. May not look like much, but when you consider how many decals are actually involved here, there's actually quite a bit of work involved in where I got. Got the bottoms of the nacelles, the beginnings of the bottom of the secondary hull, and almost completed the bottom of the nacelle support struts. I've yet to start on the saucer, but, you know, these things take time. All right. Little quick update. Went in and did the sides of the secondary hull, as well as the ends on the lower part of the strut assembly, and the bottom of the saucer. It's a slow process, but as I think I mentioned before, I ask myself when I start these, is it worth it? And when I look at the effect without having to go in and mask a cajillion panels, I say, yes, it is. All right, at this point, as you can see, we've got the aztecs on the tops of the nacelles, on the tops of the nacelle strut assembly. And I corrected a mistake I made on the flip side. As you can see, on the flip side, I got the stripe on the wrong side. But I don't think it's really going to matter too much. What matters is I got it right on that side. Got the top of the secondary hull done. I still have to detail the shuttle bay door back there. Went in and filled those in with a Sharpie rather than the decal supplied, just to make it easier. And last but not least, we have the top of the saucer in full Aztec regalia. At this point, all that's really left to do is the markings, and then we'll go for final assembly. All right, at this point, I don't know how we're, yeah, there's the little red stripe along the sides of the nacelles. The registries are in place. The registries are also in place now on the saucer. You have to take my word for the fact they're also in place on the bottom. I mean, I've even got little window decals along the short rim. And I also have all the registries and decals now on the secondary hull, as well as the windows there, and the first stage of construction, as the struts and neck are currently being glued to the secondary hull. Alright, after a few delays and loss of mojo, getting mojo back, we finally have, after what turned out to be almost 4 months of build, granted there was a 3.5 month delay in the middle of it, we have finally the completed USS Excelsior NX 2000. As you can see, all the markings are on, all the windows are in place, final assembly's been done. Now, back here by the impulse deck, you can make out a slight discoloration in the panels on the back. That's because when I flipped this, when I was doing the seal coat on this, I somehow snagged this decal and actually wound up peeling it off the ship and sealing the remnants before I realized what I'd done. So I did my best to mix a custom color. Naked eye, it's a lot closer to the actual color than the paint looks here, but all in all, I'm happy with the result. I went ahead and did not pencil line the deflector grid because this one does not have a prominent deflector grid on the secondary hull. So I decided not to make it that prominent on the saucer. Just did a black wash into the shuttle bay doors, mostly just to bring out the detail in them. All in all, despite the bugaboos and various losses of mojo during the build, I'll be honest, the biggest loss of mojo was facing the task of wallpaper decals. But rather than mask every individual panel, I'm happy with how this all turned out. I mean, the decals snug down really well over the phaser bumps. I like the fact the supplemental sheet also had the marking for the base. This is a very nice model. I like the fact they gave you the option to build it as the NCC or the NX. Me, I always preferred the, for lack of a better term, pure NX we see in Star Trek 3 and 4 versus what we got in Star Trek 6. But I also get why they did that. I like the fact, though, that this model can be built either way. But at this stage, I think I'm going to shut up. Thank you all for watching, and put some stills at the end of this.